For the Can We Create a Better Future OurSay, OurSay.org partnered with La Trobe University Generations. Users were asked to post and vote for questions on sustainability issues. The winning questions were then answered at a live panel as part of the Asia Pacific Model United Nations Conference at La Trobe University.
Now, we've partnered with OurSay. The OurSay platform provides a way of getting views of a wide section of society, finding out what you think is important, and we're here today to discuss the top 3 questions that were put on the website. The question with the most votes was posed by Wahid Hussain. Is Wahid here today? Hello, congratulations Wahid.
My point is, it's an issue for all of us. It's an issue that's global. It's an issue that we all need to think about. And I agree with you absolutely that it's something where we need to reconsider the distribution and redistribute these sorts of amounts of money.
But importantly, what we've got to try to do is to develop connections between people in countries like Australia and in countries like some of the ones that you mentioned in your question, Bangladesh, Maldives, Somalia.
Unfortunately, we couldn't afford to have Tony Abbott on the platform. But I think somebody needs to play the devil's advocate. And those of you who know me will realise that I would relish doing that. Let's not get into what is too easy, a guilt-tripping of the rich. Human beings will act out of a mix of self-interest and altruism. We cannot only appeal to altruism.
And while I'm not a great adherent of private enterprise having to fund the sorts of aid that we need to see, we do know that private enterprise will be part of the equation, and they do see co-benefits, reputational and otherwise. So don't put aside even something as seemingly simple as a reputational issue.
But I'd like now to turn to our second question, which was asked by Winnie Octalis. Okay, and there are some similarities here with the first question.
You know, remembering I'm channeling Tony Abbott. So can we please get out of this simple-minded picture that came through, I'm afraid, in a lot of what I read on the web, that somehow we in the, quote, West, which is not a term I like, but we in the countries associated with the United States and its allies are always to blame, and that the rest of the world is somehow virtuous. This is not helpful.
I interpreted the question slightly differently. And what I was reading into the question was a concern for equity or a concern for equality. And I think given one of the real trends which I think we are seeing across the globe is towards a greater inequality both within countries and between countries. So I think we need to have a greater understanding of the impacts of gross levels of inequality, of the poor living cheek by jowl with the rich, and what the consequences are for well-being. As a way of appealing to people's altruism, but more to the point, there's a way of appealing to their self-interest.
Our third question comes from Kerry Haria Adams, and her question is, while 1 in 7 people around the world go hungry, both developing and developed countries waste around 33% of their food.
We talk about in rich countries obesity as a huge, big health issue, and we forget it is actually also a big, huge health issue in many poor countries as a result of inadequate access to food.
Australia, this question indicates we waste a lot of food. I think the figure that I've heard is something like $5 billion worth of food that's wasted every year. In developing countries, it's about 40% of food waste occurs post-harvest and processing, and that's because of lack of storage, lack of effective transportation, lack of refrigeration. It's because of that lack of investment in agricultural development. I think we need to develop that sense of connection again, that sense of empathy, but also to develop that sense of enlightened self-interest, to use the term. And that requires changes in policies. It requires changes in aid policies, changes in government policies in many of those middle-income countries.